Hi, I'm Sarah Weger. I'm the youngest of 8 kids, 4 boys and 4 girls. And at the time of recording this, my dad is 78. My mom is 73, and they are now grandparents to 20 grandkids, 10 boys and 10 girls. My dad's name is Bill Hudson, and he's a long retired aerospace engineer and now a recognized watercolor artist. He recently wrote a memoir titled Setting Life's Course, Discovering Value and Purpose. This is actually one of his paintings on the cover. And he had no initial intent to write a memoir ever, but after a series of events that we'll get into, he did. And it's phenomenal. But he didn't really tell anyone about it. He just wrote it, self-published it on Amazon, told some family and friends about it, and thought that was that. And being the introvert he is, I think he was really happy about that. But then I read it. And as I told my dad, more people need to know about his book because for people around my age, for Gen Xers, millennials, Gen Zers, his is the book that helps us understand our parents' generation better. That's because it's super easy to read. It's hilarious. It's full of history. And most importantly, I think it honestly bridges the gap between our parents' generation and ours. And for people my dad's age, as I've heard in reviews, his sharp memory and ability to tell really funny stories has helped them recall similar memories from their childhood and the things that bring them joy and laughter. So I finally convinced my dad to do this podcast with me so that we can share those gifts with others, the nostalgic memories, the better understanding of our parents, and even help with answering some of life's bigger questions like, why was I born? Why are we here? What is my value and purpose? And so now I'd like to introduce my dad and have him tell us why he decided to write a memoir. Dad?
Thank you, Sarah. As you mentioned, I didn't intend to write a memoir, but several years ago, I went back to Baltimore to meet with old childhood friends. And we sat around the coffee table and we just laughed and laughed as we recounted stories. And what was neat is that their spouses were laughing right along with us. So I thought, hey, I'll share some of these in my monthly art newsletter.
Which, quick interjection about that. Although my dad was a professional watercolor artist after he retired from Boeing as an engineer, he also resisted writing that monthly newsletter, but other artists had been asking him to share some of his tips, and my brother Will at the time was making and selling a patented art tool that my dad had invented. So Will was also requesting marketing newsletters from my dad to send to those artists. And so the newsletter kind of evolved from there. Go ahead, Dad.
That was all true. I began sharing some of those stories with my subscribers who also enjoyed them. And it seems the more I wrote, the more suppressed memories began to resurface. And eventually I realized life events that I previously thought were mere coincidence were actually connected logically. So I began to appreciate life even more after writing a memoir. And now I'd recommend the exercise for nearly everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. And it's been such a gift to all of us, to all of your kids and everyone in the family. So, okay, so here we are. We're ready to share a path to better understanding one another, some hilarious trips down memory lane and stories straight out of the Sandlot movie, but in real life, and the case for writing a memoir. So this is A Daughter, Her Dad, and His Memoir. Are you ready, Dad?
Not really, but hey, whatever.